Hi and a very welcome back to all dear students. So I am Dr. Suhani Parekh and you are with me on the channel Funful Life. If you are new to the channel, do subscribe the channel as I upload a lot of videos related to botany and biology. So in today's lecture, we are going to understand about the topic of chemical methods in the lecture series of plant pathology, right? So basically I am going to start from where I left. So before moving into chemical methods, I just want to give you a brief, or I can say let us recall that what all things we have already done, right? So um, in methods of plant disease management or control methods, we are we saw that there are four categories, right? So in the first category, that is excluding the pathogen from the host, we are done with regulatory methods, right? And in the second category, that is eradicate or reduce inoculum, we are done with cultural methods, we are done with physical methods also, and today we are going to address chemical methods, right? So after completion of chemical methods, we will move towards biological method, right? So like this, one by one we will consider these categories also, the next categories also. So let us start with our basic understanding of chemical methods. So what are chemical methods? So the use of chemicals to remove disease causing organism from the field is called chemical method. So any method that we use to remove disease from the field by utilizing various chemicals, we call it as chemical method. So what is the aim of chemical method? Chemical method aims at direct protection or eradication or reduction of pathogen. That is, either the chemical method is used to directly protect your plant so that the pathogen does not enter only into your plant, and the second aim is that if the pathogen has already been introduced into your uh, plant or into your crop, then the second aim is to eradicate or reduce the pathogen from the crop, right? So these are the two methods. Either it is to not let the enemy come, or it is, or if the enemy has already come, then it is to remove the enemy from the house, right? So these are the two aim of chemical methods. So today basically we will be focusing more on direct protection methods, right? So our whole focus will be on direct protection methods. The second part, that is eradication or reduction of pathogen, we will most probably take into the next lecture. So direct protection by chemicals include what? This includes use of chemical compounds toxic to the pathogens. So here we use chemical compounds which render toxic to the pathogens, because of which the pathogens die, right? So these chemicals, what exactly do? They inhibit germination, growth and multiplication of pathogen. So whatever is the pathogen, these chemicals will stop the germination, will stop the growth and will stop the multiplication of that pathogen, so that the pathogen does not invade more and more. And these chemicals are most of the time lethal to the pathogen, so the pathogen die. So a very common term that we use for chemicals that are used in plant protection, this this common word is called pesticides, right? Nowadays you must have already heard about the side effects of pesticides. So those pesticides are basically chemicals that are used in plant protection. So depending upon the kind of pathogen they affect, these pesticides can be named accordingly. For example, if the pathogen is fungus, we call this pesticide as fungicide, right? If the pathogen is bacteria, that is the pathogen is the causal organism is a bacteria, so then we use pesticides which are called bactericides. For viral organisms, for viral diseases, we use viricides. For nematodes, that is infectious nematodes, we use the term nematicides. For insecticides, for insects we use the term insecticides, that is pathogens are insects over here. For certain type of herbs, now here by herbs we mean weeds, right? So in your crop, in your land, there might be many unwanted plants growing, so you want to remove that. So in that case, the chemical that you use is called herbicides, right? Then if you want to remove rodents from your crop, then the chemical that are used are called rodenticides. And in many cases you must have seen this kind of um, network of you know network of um, web like structure. So these are called acers, and for this we use acericides, right? So depending upon what is the kind of pathogen, the pesticides are named accordingly. Now, chemicals can either be broad spectrum. Now what is broad spectrum? Something that affects all the parts, or something that affects all the organisms. But there could be chemicals that affect only a few pathogen or a single specific pathogen, right? So there could be broad spectrum chemicals that affect all the organisms, all the pathogens, all the insects. And there could be chemicals that affect only a few pathogen or a single specific pathogen. So most of them are effective only in plant area to which they have been applied. Now there are chemicals that are effective only in certain plant areas to which you apply. This is called local action, right? That is, for example, you are spraying your chemical on the leaf, so that will remain on the leaf only. That is a local part of the plant. So it is not translocated anywhere else on the plant, right? So most of these chemicals are like they have local action. Now chemicals can again be bifurcated into three types, right? These are protectants, eradicants, and systemic. So what are protectants? Protectants are chemicals that protect from subsequent infection but cannot cure after the disease has started. So these are chemicals that will protect your crop from any further infection that might happen, right? But it will not be able to cure the disease that has already started. So if already some disease has infested in your plant, that protectant cannot help in that. But if the disease has not entered in your plant and the infection is still outside, so protectant can help, right? So simple explanation is that if the thief has entered in your house, so protectant cannot help, right? But if the thief is standing outside and you use protectant, so at that time protectant will help, right? So it will help from subsequent infection. It will not allow infection to happen further, but that what has already gone inside, protectants cannot help, right? Second type is eradicants. So what do eradicants do? As the name suggests, they kill the pest after they have invaded the plant. Now the thief has entered the house, so the eradicants help in removing and killing that thief so that this is a therapeutic action, right? That the pest has entered inside and this particular chemical eradicate the pest. And third is systemic. So these are chemicals that are absorbed and systemically translocated by plant, right? So for example, you spray the chemical on the leaf, these chemicals, they get absorbed and they translocate to other part of the plant as well. So these are called systemic chemicals. Okay, so if we are talking about fungicides, we will take example of fungicides. So fungicides can be protectants, eradicants and systemic fungicides, right? So let us talk about protective fungicides. So protective fungicides are fungicides that kill the pathogen before it attacks the plant, right? When the pathogen is ready for attack, right, at that time this fungicide will kill the pathogen, and so that the pathogen will not enter into the plant only, right? So they are designed to be present at infection coat in advance of the pathogen in order to prevent infection. So protective fungicides are designed in such a way that before the infection happens, these pesticides are used beforehand only. So as the pathogen comes, these fungicides, they attack the pathogen and they remove it, right? So these are beforehand fungicides. Sometimes these protectants have direct effect on organisms which have already invaded. Sometimes some of the chemicals which are used as protectants, they can have a kind of effect where organisms that have already invaded, that have already entered into the plant, can also be removed. So some protectants act in both the ways, right? So such protectants can also be called as eradicants because they are doing both the work. They are stopping the infection from happening also, and that which has entered already into the plant, they are removing that also, right? An example of protective and curative fungicide is carbendazim, Carzeb 75. This is an example in which carbendazim is used, right? Second type of fungicide is therapeutic fungicides, right? So therapeutic fungicides are also called as direct fungicides, or they are also called as eradicants, right? So we already saw what is protectants, what are eradicants. So therapeutic fungicides are also called as eradicants. Fungicides that are applied after attack, right? So these are fungicides that you apply after the infection has happened. So these fungicides, they kill the fungi after they have invaded the plant, right? So as they will invade the pathogen will invade the plant. So when you will get to know that the invasion has happened, at that moment you will use this fungicide, and the whatever the pathogen is, it will be removed. Now these therapeutic fungicides can be of two types. One is fungistatic and other is spore suppressant. Now fungistatic is what? As the name suggests, it will make the fungus static. It will make the fungus stop wherever it was, right? So fungistatic therapeutic fungicides, they prevent the growth of the pathogen, right? So they do not allow the fungi to grow anymore. This is called fungistatic, right? And another is spore suppressants. So these are fungicides that prevent sporulation, right? So suppressant means something that stops the formation of something. So here these chemicals, they prevent the formation of spore or the process of sporulation, and if the process of sporulation stops, that means that the fungus will not be able to multiply. Now there were two scientists who again bifurcated these therapeutic fungicides by different types. So we'll just look into brief. So Martin in 1964, he bifurcated fungicides, therapeutic fungicides, into direct fungicides and protective fungicides, right? So direct fungicides are the fungicides that kills fungi on plant surfaces. So these are fungicides that kill the whatever pathogen is there on the surface itself. Protective fungicides are those that are applied before infection. So all the fungicides that are applied before infection of the pathogen are called protective fungicides according to him. Then Horsfall in 1956, he bifurcated fungicides into two types, contact fungicides and residual fungicides. So what are contact fungicides? Contact fungicides aims directly the fungus itself, right? And what are residual fungicides? These are applied to the plant before fungus reaches to it. So why is it called residual? Because this particular fungicide, it forms a protective layer over the plant surface. So this particular fungicide will remain as a protective layer or residue over the plant surface. So when the fungus will come, will land over the plant, so this fungicide will not allow the fungus to enter, and it will remove the fungus from there. So this is applied to the plant before the fungus reaches to it, right? So in a way you can say that residual fungicides are protectants, right? And contact fungicides, which aims directly the fungus itself, can be called as topical fungicides or eradicants. So an example of again protective and curative fungicide is Parast, which has carbendazim, and mancozeb. Okay, so now we will move towards the topic of application of chemicals, right? So chemicals can be applied to what all things? Chemicals can be applied to the whole plant. It can be applied to soil. It can be applied to different parts of the plant, and it can also be applied to the harvested product, right? Uh, Before the plant gives product, before that the whole plant is also important, because we have not received the product, so we have to save it from diseases, right? Soil also we have to save from diseases, because soil may also carry a lot of pathogens. Different part of plant is also important to save, and even after getting the produce from your plant, it has to be saved from the action of pathogen. So let us understand that when I say whole plant or different parts of the plant, I mean standing crop, right? Because standing crop is what is the, it is the whole plant that you have planted in your field. So standing crops, uh, they might also require chemicals. These are mostly applied to plants as spray or dust. So standing crops are usually sprayed or dusted with the chemicals, right? And whatever fungicides you use, these are often mixed with soap, because soap helps in facilitating the contact between spray and the plant surface, right? So whatever the spray you have used and whatever the plant surface is, between that, this soap helps in facilitating the contact. So soap, also helps in mixing the content of water, immiscible substances. So there might be chemical substances which might be immiscible in water. So when you use soap, it becomes miscible in water. So you must have seen this kind of activity in your field. So all the standing crops, they are sprayed either or dusted uh, to the whole plant, so that it gets protection. Second is plant products. So plant products are basically your harvested produce. So whatever chemicals you use in this stage is used to control post-harvest diseases. Now diseases are not only during the sowing time or only during the growing time, but disease are also taking place during after the harvest, right? So these are called post-harvest diseases. So this also has to be controlled, otherwise whatever produce is formed, that produce will not be of any use. So during transit and storage, that is whatever has been produced, for example say fruits are produced, so these fruits are being taken from the production site to the marketing site. So during storage and transit, plant products has to be uh, saved from diseases properly. Okay, third is seeds, right? Sorry, the numbering is wrong. This will be number 3, that is seeds. So now seeds also require uh, chemicals to protect them from pathogens, because we need to understand why do we need to save the seeds, because there are many pathogens that are seed borne. They remain dormant in the seeds, but when the seeds activate, when the seeds they start growing, these pathogens also they start growing along with the seeds and infect the whole plant. So for seed borne diseases, this is very important. Fungicides are applied to seeds before they are sown. So before you sow the seed in your field, you have to apply fungicides. So there are two methods, dry methods and wet method. So what is dry method? In dry method, you use powder fungicide into your seeds, right? So you apply powder fungicides in the seeds. You thoroughly mix, um, you thoroughly mix the seeds with the powder fungicide. You mix it well and it is stored. So that is called dry method, where no liquid or no water content is used. Wet method is where the seeds are soaked for a definite period of time. You soak your seed for a definite period of time, say 4 hours, 5 hours, 2 hours, into the fungicidal solution. So you use a solution which is of fungicide, and you put your seeds into that solution, you mix it well and you let it remain there for a specific period of time as mentioned in the whatever fungicide is used, right? So that is called wet method. Third is you also have to protect the soil. Now why do you have to protect the soil? Because there are many pathogens that are soil borne, right? They will remain dormant in the soil uh, till the soil receives some crop, right? So they will remain dormant in the soil till the soil receives crop. So as you will start growing crop into the soil, what will happen is that um, these fungicides from the soil, they will enter into your plant and the plant will be spoiled. So to control all the root pathogens, all the soil pathogens, you use it is important that you um, control the you it is important that you spray the soil or you treat the soil with chemicals, right? Okay, now moving towards the point of application of chemicals. So how do you apply chemicals? So first method is foliar spray and dust. Second is seed treatment. Third is soil treatment. Fourth is tree wound treatment. And fifth is post-harvest diseases. So let us first of all understand the foliar spray and dust treatment, right? So most chemicals are usually applied in this way, are aimed at control of fungal diseases. So whenever you have to control fungal diseases, most of the time the method that you use is foliar spray and dust. So most are applied as protectants, as plant protection to prevent infection. So now you remember I had explained that protectants and eradicants are there. Protectants are the ones that are used before the infection has happened. So beforehand only these protectants are sprayed so that your plant, you know, remains healthy. So they inhibit fungal spore formation or kill the spore after germination. Either they don't allow the spore to germinate, or if at all the spore germinates, right, or if at all the spore germinates, it will kill the spore. So in bacteria, these inhibit multiplication of cells. Now bacteria are known for very fast multiplication of cells. So these type of foliar spray or dust of chemicals, they inhibit the multiplication of cell in bacteria, and like that the bacterial pathogens can also be removed. Detergents are used along with to increase the spreading of fungicides. So detergents or soaps are used because, as I said, they act as surfactant. They act as a medium by which immiscible substances in water can mix with water and it can be sprayed easily. With the chemicals, starch or oil is also used to some extent to increase their adherence, right? So for example, whatever chemical you use, if it does not stick to the surface of your plant, it will not be effective. And you already know that starch and oil are sticky substances, so they are used as sticky substance, that is as stickers, because of which your chemical will stick to the plant. Young parts are sprayed more often than mature ones because the mature plants are anyway going to be you know, dried and it will get removed, but the young parts are more prone to diseases, and these are the ones that will actually develop into healthy individuals. So young parts are sprayed. Spray are more effective than dust, right? Spraying is more better than dusting because, you know, spraying, it works as a protective residual layer over the surface. The spraying thing will spread evenly over your plant, whereas dusting might not be even. In some part it would be more, in some part it would be less, so you will not get even result. Sprays are most effective before or after rain, right? When are these more effective? When the rain has not happened, or when after the rain has happened. So why is this important? Because before and after rain, usually the climate is more humid, and more the humidity, more the water surface availability, the spores will become active, and you can see more fungal growth, right? Because most of the fungus, they require humidity to grow. So most spores, they require maximum humidity or water surface over leaf to spread. So if you apply these sprays before rain and after rain, it would be more useful. Systemic chemicals are replacing protectants now. So in place of protectants, nowadays systemic chemicals are used more. That is, these are chemicals which when applied to one place translocate to other part of the plant as well. So these are also called preventive fungicides. So foliar sprays, you must have seen all these techniques. If the land is very big, this kind of crane is used. If the land is small, the person can spray by himself. And also this type of system is available where foliar spray can be done in this way also. Okay, second is seed treatment. So how do you apply chemicals to the seeds? So chemicals applied to seeds can be either applied to seeds, can be applied to tubers or bulbs of the plant, which are the vegetative reproductive organs of the plant, roots and storage organs. So why are chemicals applied to seeds? To prevent their decay and also to prevent pathogen from uh, attacking the plant and spreading from the seeds. So you have to prevent the all these parts after planting, and damping off of young seedling can also happen. So to prevent both of these situation, seed treatment is important. So seed treatment can be applied either as dust, or it could be applied as a water suspension, right? Or it could be applied as a water solution, that is the seeds are soaked in water solution. So enough chemicals must stick to these organs, right? Because if chemicals are not stuck, in a proper way, it will not be effective. So these chemicals, they must diffuse into and disinfect zone of soil around the seed in which new plant will grow. So these chemicals must diffuse into your seed properly, so that the new plant will grow healthy and will remain disinfected. So the chemicals that are used for seed treatment are called captan, chemicals like captan, carboxyl, oxycarboxyl, hexachlorobenzene, thiram, etc. Right, so this is the dusting method, where you dust your seeds with some chemical and you then store it. And this that you see is the water suspension or water solution method, where you put your seeds, inside, and you manually mix it and let it remain there for some hours, and then you take out your seeds. This is, a kind of instrument in which mixing can happen. You don't have to mix manually, everything will happen um, as whatever the time has been set, and your seeds will be ready. Okay, third is soil treatment. Now these are fungicides. In this treatment you use fungicides that are applied to the soil. Why is this important? Because soil, as I said, has soil-borne pathogen, and your soil should remain free from pathogens. So these fungicides can be of two types: volatile and non-volatile. Now you know what is volatile. Volatile is something that can, spread. Non-volatile is something that cannot spread, right? So in volatile fungicides you can use fumigants, right? For example, formaldehyde. And in non-volatile fungicides, you can use various type of dust or granules in your soil. You can mix your soil with these chemicals, and your soil will be free from fungicides or pathogen. And in volatile method, fumigants can be used. You know the process of fumigation, where certain chemicals that can travel long distances can be used in your land. For example, your land is very big, you insert pipelines into your land, right? And you allow that gas or liquid to pass through your soil from one corner to another, and the gas will be diffused in your soil completely, and in your soil whatever organisms are present will be suffocated, and these infections organism will be removed. So examples are tridimethon, ethazole, PCNB, etc. are example of chemicals that are used for soil treatment. Another next thing is tree wound treatment. So what is tree wound treatment? Pruning cuts and wounds are protected from drying to check entry of new pathogen. Now sometimes you have to cut some part of your crop or some part of your tree, because you find that a lot of pest has infested, and there is no option other than cutting, right? So when you cut the part of your plant, you will find that the part is more exposed to outside environment, and therefore this becomes a place where a pathogen can start entering, right? So you have to check that, you have to remove all the possibilities. So that pruned or cut part is treated with 0.5 to 1% sodium hypochlorite or 70% ethyl alcohol, then painted with wound dresser as 10 is to 2 as 10 is to 2 is to 2 ratio, right? So you have to use a kind of wound dresser. There are various type of wound dresser available, right? So one example is 10 parts of lanolin, 2 parts of rosin, 2 parts of gum, right? And you can use Bordix paint. These act as disinfectants. So your pruned area of the plant will become uh, will become a place where the pathogen will not be able to infest. So these act as disinfectants. So Bordix paint is available like this, which can be used. Okay, coming to the next part, that is post harvest diseases. So you also need chemicals to control post harvest diseases of fruits and vegetables. Now you see, after all the hard work that you have done in your agricultural field, if your post harvest produce gets damaged, it's the biggest loss, because it had been a hard work and you were waiting for that produce, right? So chemicals used to control post harvest diseases of fruits and vegetables are important, because you have to save your produce to get the profit. So but the point is that these chemicals needs to be used with care, because this produce reaches to the consumers who eat these products, and therefore this can become toxic to the consumers. So fungitoxic chemicals are used as dilute solutions. So if you use chemicals that are fungitoxic, that is toxic to the fungus, you dilute it to a greater extent, and that diluted solutions are used to treat the post harvest produce. Some of the chemicals are used as dust and other as gases. So after the post harvest product has been obtained, either some of the chemicals you use as dust or some you use as gases, right? And some are impregnated in the boxes or wrappers of your fruits and vegetables. Okay, so the for example, the boxes of fruit that you purchase, or um, the box in which your fruits gets wrapped and reaches to the marketing place, and then it is removed from that box, so that box also sometimes contains these chemicals to save it from diseases. So chemicals like borax, biphenyl, thibendazole, dicoran can be used. So whatever fungitoxic chemicals are used as diluted solutions, so your fruits and vegetables are dipped in that for some time, and then it is removed and packed and sent to you. Now therefore it is said that whatever fruit you purchase, whatever you vegetable you purchase, make sure that you dip it in water. Specifically fruits, make sure that you dip it in water for 2 to 3 hours, because these fruits, to save it from post harvest disease and to allow it to ripen more, various types of chemicals are used, and these chemicals can be harmful to you. This can have cancerous effect also. So you have to dip it in water for some time and let the chemicals get into the water, and you then consume the product. So this is something that I obtained from the website of freshplaza.com, where they have explained that how fruits, they get damaged in control. You see this fruit, you see this fruit, so these are damaged. Control is the fruit which in which you have not used any chemical. Now here they have used one chemical, which is prochloras 300 at the concentration of 300 ppm. You will see that the decay, the decay or the fungus effect of the plant is reduced. And in another chemical which they have used, fludeoxonil at 300 ppm, you will see that the fruits are very healthy. So this is how your fruits remain healthy in boxes, because they are sprayed with certain chemicals to remain uh, healthy and to look good, to save it from post-harvest diseases. So on one side, when the chemicals are important to be sprayed, on the other side, before eating we should take care because it could be harmful to us. So it is very important you dip these fruits and vegetables in water for 2 to 3 hours and then use it, right? So this was about post harvest product treatment, and with this we come to the end of this lecture, but the chemical methods part is not completed yet. I will continue this chemical methods in the next lecture, where I will initiate with the part of, if you remember, we had started with direct protection. The second part is yet to be explained, so that I will take in the next lecture, and after completion of chemical method we will move towards the next part. So thank you very much. In case you have any doubt, do let me know. I will share my email ID in the description, and if you have not seen the video lectures of previous methods of control of diseases, then I am gonna share all those links in the description, so that will be useful to you um, for your reference, right? So please stay connected. I'll be back with the next part of this chemical methods lecture. Thank you. Till then, goodbye.